to the right.
Wow.
It's about 3 o'clock.
Okay, well, we've been asked to go through some details on this rifle. This is the rifle that we've used for our long range shooting. It's a 338 Lapua in a Sako TRG 42. You know, they start quite a bit different looking. This was a black stock rifle, and essentially the stock without modifications is what we bought, and then we've been through and made quite a few of those modifications. So I'll go through from back to front and go through what we've actually done to this rifle. So at the rear there, it's simply got the upgraded buttstock rubber, which is essentially what the late model ones come out with, just nice and soft, makes it a little bit easier to shoot. The lower metal frame, or this part here, is something that I fitted on there to give me a bit of slide on the bottom of it, so that it actually sat nicely on the bag. And as you can see, there's this wheel inside here. So this part of it, which is actually a wheel that rotates, and it pushes out that bottom black piece, this piece here, that actually pushes out or back up in to give you adjustment to when you're actually set up in your bag and you want to fine tune it without having to squish your bag and hold it like that. You can actually adjust it and get it really settled and get it to perfect. And as your bag settles a little bit more, you can roll that out a little bit, which means it's just a nice comfortable way to shoot. Inside that buttstock, I've put in some extra weight, so make it just heavier down the bottom and at the back of the rifle. And the top of that, the cheek piece, is all custom made. So that's actually plastic that's sat on top, and then this top cover is actually hand formed with Sikaflex to give me something soft but all the right shape, so when the gun actually pushes, you know, you're face down on it fairly firmly, or not too firmly, but you're face down on it, you don't get a bruised cheek or punched by it. It's actually nice and comfortable. Essentially on the coming forward a little bit further, all the bolt handle and trigger and everything are the same. I've obviously adjusted the trigger to suit what I want. We run it at sort of about 1.25 pounds over the way of trigger pressure. It's got the US Optics anti-cant system, or the sight bubble for cant. And then the notable feature underneath or holding the attacker scope is the Cold Shot MOAB 150, it says, but it's actually the 300 adjustable base. Now, this is a system that they use on rifles to give adjustment on a scope that doesn't have adjustment. The way I'm using it is for the extreme shots. I'm asking for up to 270 minutes of angle, and more than that, for depending on how far I'm actually pushing this thing out. So as you can see, if you stand back and look, you see the scope's actually on quite an angle on top there. Still works, not getting any problem of looking through the muzzle brake or anything like that. And I am able to get up, right at the moment I'm running, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's around 270 minutes of angle is what I'm actually shooting at 2 miles. So what I'm doing with that, that's 120 minutes of angle on the scope, and I'm actually only running 90 minutes of angle, so I've got my crosshairs right on where I'm aiming, unlike when I was trying to use a lot of holdover. This has actually got, I'm using the centre of the scope, but I've got the base set at 180 minutes of angle. Now the base, they come with all the adjustment. I found for the accuracy I want, there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of play in things, so I've been through and rebushed the front of it, changed that to a larger size machinist bolt, and basically made it very tight fitting, so it's quite hard to move. And that accordingly meant that when that locked up and the rear tension screws locked up, this thing doesn't move. It does mean you have to back things off to adjust it, but I want consistent, I want, you know, sub-quarter MOA consistency to try and pull off an accurate hit on a 24-inch plate at 2 miles. We're pretty close to doing that, and if you've seen the video previously, I'll put some clips on there. We're very close to that, and certainly holding way under a half-minute MOA for our, or pattern for our, what we were shooting, but it needs to be better than that to pull off a hit at that range. Come further forward, you'll see that essentially we're running some weight. These bars on the bottom here are actually solid steel, and that's one of the features I found to just help the gun sit nicely, was to put a bit of extra weight in the front of it. It has the standard bipod on the front here. They pivot from right up high. It's actually attached to the actual chassis, not the barrel, but to the actual chassis. There's an aluminium chassis in the middle of that stock. It's attached to that. They are very nice, low centre of gravity. The only thing I've modified on that is I made it so it's a bit firmer to actually twist. It does twist, but it doesn't just rock around, so you can actually just let the gun sit there and it'll hold itself position straight. Now these run slightly longer than 27-inch barrel on them standard, and they have the threaded section on the front, 1 by 18mm thread on the front of them. I essentially did have a pretty good muzzle brake, a hinterland shooting brake that was working okay, but in analysing my footage and how the gun was moving, I really wanted to settle it down as much as I could for this extreme long range shooting. So I decided to build a brake. I'm not a gunsmith, where none of what I do is professional at this level. It's simply out of a lot of years of being an automotive engineer or a mechanic that does a lot of performance work, and I understand a lot of what I'm doing. Is I've then used my understanding of percussion, of sonic noise travelling, of air travelling, of inertia, of all the things, of ways of looking at what's going to happen with a muzzle brake. This is designed trying to use what I felt at least was a good test to see how it worked. This has a slightly bent bottom plate to give me a little bit of upward pressure, but largely it's just the shield to stop the percussion or the exhaust going down onto the ground, and so that stops the dust and crap that comes up around the place. It has essentially a staggered pair of holes in there, so essentially the first brake lets some of the gas through onto the second brake. It has a slightly more open on the top, once again to encourage the air to go a little bit up and a little bit of downforce. And other than that, a fairly simple design. The only thing we did when we first used this brake was found there was a lot of percussion or a lot of impact on your face. You could feel it in your sinus glands. It was like a little bit like a smack in the face. So that's where these wings are actually designed on here, just essentially to shield some of that percussion. After it's been fired, you do see a little bit of staining on the front edge, but it still behaves very well in the way of it's very gentle to shoot like this, and it really takes it away to where you're not having to keep your mouth closed to stop getting the impact in your face. It's nice to shoot. When we actually tried to shoot in very poor conditions, but actually tried to shoot at 2 miles, I ran through 25 rounds very comfortably. It just was very easy to shoot. It was sitting still. It was behaving really well. And at this moment, I'm really, really impressed with how this brake's working. I've actually done up another brake for a 300 Win mag, which we've actually fully machined rather than a sheet metal one. We've machined it up, and that's slightly different in its design, but it's performing very well as well. But anyway, that's an overall look of this 338 Lapua that I'm really happy with. It's an awesome rifle. I've not got enough experience to say it's better than anyone else's, but and like I said, I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not a shooter that can say I've learned from the best. Or this is purely and simply what we have taken on as a hobby, as a challenge, and I'm really enjoying it at this stage. And this is my rifle. We're actually running these bullets are the loaded thing, so it's the 338, the 300 grain OTM, which is essentially the tactical round of the burger in the 300 grain, which is all a fully prepped case, and all the bits and pieces. We run a pretty nearly 4-inch combined length on these things. So we are up there pushing it, but we're staying inside where it all works. Now I'm actually running 96 grains of this AR 225 powder. We're using the Rock Crusher die set. We actually have a short die set and a long die set set up for what we're doing. We're also run some, these cases have also been through a full length sizing through the levels that we're running at. This is only this will be their 3rd firing, so they've been fired twice and they've been fully trimmed and resized 3 times. The whole process to end up where we've got should have a perfectly consistent round. Now I've got these bullets set up at 10 thou bullet jump, so we're right up the barrel, right up close to our lands. We are also running This powder we found has worked the best at this sort of range. We're not pushing too hard, we're not flattening primers too much or damaging cases or any of that sort of stuff, but we are up to where we're up to the edge. So nice feature about these, and as you have a look at that, and probably come over here, Sam, and you'll be able to see, if you look at the cases, you'll be able to see inside there. You can actually see the powder, so it's right up the top there. So it is compressed. I find it, with most of the long range stuff, I am running compressed on my rounds, and I find it almost a little bit reassuring. It's another double check. I can see my powder when I put it in, but when I go to load my round, I can also feel, so you can hear the crunch maybe. Well, I'll do a few and see if you get it. That's it. Do it again. Wait a minute. 731. That's it. 732.1. And sometimes even here, a tiny bit of powder compression. It's not hard, there's no force on it. You can actually feel it each time that the powder's going in. So it's a nice double check that, yeah, you have got your powder in there. There's no loads that are running shy. We also, you know, when these will go through, we'll weigh them afterwards as well. It's just as another double check. But that's all for next summer. This will be sort of 4 or 5 months before we load these. But they're all going to be sealed and put away ready for that job. But anyway, that's a quick look at what we're doing for the loads for what will be a 2 mile shot. Thanks for watching.